Welcome back. This is part 3. We're actually going to start modeling some of the furniture now. Um, don't worry about lights. Don't worry about the camera yet. Let's focus on modeling right quick. What we're going to do first is we're going to model the chair. So we'll keep that in the background just for reference. I'm going to start with, I could use a box to start, but I'm actually going to go ahead and switch to a chamfer box instead. So that'll make me feel a little bit happier. So just drag it up and click and then drag in to set the amount of the fillets. Just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my interior, right click and hide the selection. Click on this, hit the Z key, and that zooms in on it. And there we go. Excuse me. Alright, modify. Let's make it 4 foot. Let's not make it 4 foot. Let's make it 3 foot. Yeah, let's do that. We can rescale later. I know I want the height to be decent, so about 3 foot, 3.5 feet high seems pretty good, because remember our interior is 10 foot, so we want the side arms to be proportional. So 3.5 feet, maybe a little less actually. Let's go 3 foot. Let's do that, because actually it's going to have some, it's going to be up from the ground already, so if we make it any bigger, if we make it any taller, it's going to be pretty high. So we'll just say that's 3. Okay. Look at this, it's not too wide in the front, so width I'll bring in about, we'll say it's a foot. We'll give it some segments, say about 8 in width. We'll give it about 8 in length, 6 in width. We'll do 8 in height. Our fillet segments, our fillet segments, however you want to say it. We want it to be nice and rounded, but not too rounded. We'll go 8/6, 8/6, just like that. How about that? Right click it, convert it to an editable poly. If you don't want to keep going down here every time you do it, just right click it and click where it will automatically be. So if you click this, the pointer stays right that gray, and hit it, and it remembers the last selection that you made. So it makes it an editable poly already. So we have that. And if you look at the picture again, instead of hitting Alt W, hit Alt Tab. Okay. Instead of it just being a square box, we're going to actually start moving in some areas and softening the edges and bringing some things out. So what I'm going to do is apply an FFD 4x4, which would be good enough. Click the plus sign and go to control points. And let's start control clicking some of these right here, even on this edge. Actually, we won't click the edges, we'll just click inside. Bring up your move tool, and let's move them out a little bit, like so. Select all these points up here, and kind of drag in. Do it up here also. You can look, it comes in like that. Drag in a little bit. It's pretty flat through there. But what we'll do is we'll move this up some and like that. We'll take these little points right here and move them out. these and move them in like that. Take these edge points, shift in like that, bring them in. The back won't be seen, so we don't have to do too much modeling on the back. I just want to make it a little bit rounded, like so. Looks good to me. Then we can come up here, right click it, and collapse to. And that keeps that the way it is. Not too bad. No. Actually, I'm going to Control Z that just one time. And it's not flat on the top like that. If you look at this, it's kind of rounded. So let me do that right quick. Come back over to Control Points and bring that down a little bit. You don't have to select everything uniformly. You can actually just do some parts where this part's up in the back and this part's a little bit down in the front. Drag select these points right here and bring them up a little bit like that. And then we can either hit Convert to Editable Poly or Collapse to, like I showed you a second ago. So there we have that. We're actually going to put a Turbo Smooth on here later, because what I'm going to do is select some of these polys and start pulling them in, pushing in and out. And if we don't convert it to a Turbo Smooth, or if we don't put a Turbo Smooth on it later, when we go to render it, it's going to look very choppy. It'll start breaking the surface properties. And we're not going to want that, so we'll put a smooth on it later. So what we want to do now is create this right here. You see these little seams right here? It actually looks like it goes across the front too. So we're going to create these seams to give it a little bit more realism. So go into Edge, and I'm going to select one edge and hit Loop, and that selects it all the way around. We're going to do it on the bottom too. Hold down Control, and let's select this one, hit Loop. Let's select this one right here by Control clicking that edge and hit Loop. Same on this side, about right here, and hit Loop. Like I said, you won't see the back, but we're going to do it anyway. Loop, Control click, Loop. Now you see it, we don't want it to come all the way up here. So what we'll do is hit Ignore Back Facing and hold down Control and Alt and deselect these. Also on the bottom. Got the air conditioner on, my hand's freezing. Moving the mouse is a task. Okay, so now that we have that, what we're going to do is scroll down a little bit and go to Create Shape from Selection. Make it linear so that it follows the path, and just say this is going to be chair seams. Alright, unclick out of that. You can come up to here to select by name or hit H. Select the chair seams. It's an editable spline. We'll go into Rendering, Enable in Renderer, Enable in Viewport. And you see that it does that. And of course, it's pretty damn thick. So what we're going to do is go to Thickness and lower that some. Like so. Even more than that. Let's just lower it down to about right there. Let's do a quick render of that, see what that looks like. I don't like how that's coming up through here. I should have probably done it right here, but that'll do for now, huh? It's not too bad. Alright, so what I want to do now is select the box, the chamfer box. We'll just call this chair arm. Go to polygon, and we'll just start moving in some polys like this. I know what you're thinking, why are we doing this? This is just going to add some shaping. Like I said, this is kind of breaking the surface a little bit. But what we'll do is we'll apply that smooth later, that turbo smooth, and it'll make it look pretty good. Like that. Just give it some definition here and there. I'll let you go crazy with it. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. Hit render, and you can see how it's starting to move in like that. You can also make a bunch of cuts and pull in the points, pull in the edges, and do all that stuff. However, I'm not going to get too crazy with it. I'm going to deselect that, select both, go to group, and yeah, we'll just call it group 1, that's fine. Okay, now my top viewport, I'm going to, so I'm going to hide all, and I'm going to look to see where this is. Ungroup that for a second. I want to make sure I didn't get turned around too much, because I think this is the front and it's facing the back side of the wall. And yeah, I did model it backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'll select it, and I'll come up here, and I'll group both of those again. And with my rotate tool, I'll come over here, or just hit A, and that's angle snap. And I'm going to turn it around to 180 degrees. And there, that's fine. And then what I'll do is I'll pull this over like so, holding shift and drag it. Then it'll ask you if you want to copy, instance reference. We'll say we'll copy it. Just like that. Cool. Select the interior, right click, hide selection. And now we're back on track. Alright, so now we have that. What I'm going to do is, instead of creating new boxes right here, because you see that it does take these two, they're all basically the same. So I'm going to select this group, and I'm going to click the rotate, and I'm going to shift rotate it down this way, or this way. Let's see, which way do I want to do it? Or do I just want to make a new box? I think I'm gonna make a new box just for this side, because these sides are so rounded already. I don't want them to be the exact same, so I'm not going to cheat it too much. I'll go back to the top viewport. Come over here, extended primitives, chamfer box, and just going to drag out another box like so. Give it some height. Click. Give it some segments, and it will remember the exact same thing that you had before. So right click to end the tool, go to your move tool, and bring this up some. And if it's penetrating the other geometry, don't worry about it. It's fine. And as you see this right here, actually I'm going to leave that. Since I shift dragged it, it's this side is this side instead of facing out. But that's okay. Actually, no, it's not. Select this, hit mirror, no clone on the x-axis, and hit OK. And now that puts this side, that side. So we're good. Select this again, modify. This is going to be this cushion right here. Actually, yeah, that'll be that cushion right here. So I'm going to bring it up some, height on it, distance right here, like that, something like that. That'll do just fine. Chamfer box, editable poly, Come up here and do the same thing with my FFD. Select the control points again. Control, get those. I'll just select some of these up front, pull those down. I'll select these right here by control clicking. So I can create it a little bit more rounded look, like that. I'll take this one and I'll pull it in, like that, to give it a little bit of difference. Take this one, put it in, leave that one out. Take this one, I'll pull it in, something like that. Cushions up, like so. Control points, right click, collapse to. And we have that. Now we need our seams. So go into edge mode, and let's go down a little bit. We'll select right there. We'll select right here by control clicking and loop. And then select this right here. Select this right here and loop. Just put them wherever you feel you want them to be. And that'll be good enough. Remember to come back up here, Control Alt, to deselect these. I'm actually going to get out of this right quick, select this one and hide it so that I can come back over here. Hit edge again so it brings up the last thing. I'm not going to worry about the back. I'm going to come down here, create shape from selection, linear, call it chair, seams, seat. Yeah, sure, why not? And that will remember the renderable selection that you made last time. So it's automatically there. Go into polygon, and we'll just start control clicking some polys. There's a million different ways that you can do this. I suggest that you come up with some of your own. Like I said, you can make cuts so that you can get these fine little wrinkles right there. Time's not going to allow me to do such things. Okay, unhide by name. I want to get that group. And then we have that. We'll do a quick render. See, it's starting to look a little bit like leather. Alright, so that's good right there. What I want to do is take this, marquee select the whole thing so it gets the seams also. Go to group. Group 3 is fine. I'm going to take this and I'm going to shift drag down on the Z axis, like so. Hit OK. And I want this part to actually be a little flatter, so I'm going to, because this part's kind of like up in the geometry here, I want to flip it. And I want to flip it on the Z axis. Yeah, that's good enough. I need to stop doing that. I've been working with Cinema 4D lately, so I'm totally losing my mind right now. Okay. So I want this to be up a little bit. It can go inside the geometry a little bit. Leather looks like it does that. It's fine. And what I want to do is I'll go ahead and take this right here. Make sure that the snaps are on. I'm going to shift and I'm going to rotate it. Let's go backwards 90 degrees. Then put it back here. And you notice that the back is the height of this. So reselect this if Max will let me. And I want it to be right there. you see, I don't want it to sit in there. So actually, let's go ahead and do this. Let's bring it in like so, so that it's about the same right here. Like that. Got the scale tool and just start scaling it down a little bit. If you know your hotkeys, use them. Like that. Okay. Scale tool hotkey is R. Move tool is W. Yeah, like that. Gonna render that. Okay. Let's see if I can add an FFD to a group. I've never done that before, so we're going to work together on this one. Add these control points. Oh yeah, it works. Just do some reshaping. That's all I'm doing. But I wanted it to include the seam. Bring these. Let me reselect these four. Like that. Control points again. Select these through here and bring those forward some. Like that. Get a render of that. Looks good from my house. Alright, so we're gonna keep that actually keep that on there. That's cool. Alright, what say you now? Let's look at this part. I think I'm missing something here. Yeah, this is actually thicker than that. So I'm going to come into here and I'm going to scale this and then move it down. Like so. Alright. Then what we have is this right here. Looks like a chrome base for the bottom. Easy enough to do. Go back to your top viewport. Let's do another chamfer box. We'll come all the way to the edge to here. Bring it up some, and we don't want too much of a fillet for this thing. Right click to end the tool. Hit F4 to get rid of all the edges so I can just see what I'm doing. See what it looks like. And that looks good to me. Excuse me. Alright. It's important to name things. I know I'm not naming things accordingly, but you shouldn't. So let's do chair chrome base. That way we have it. Okay, now for this part, which is actually fairly simple. Alright, what we're going to do is come to our spline section and go to line. We'll probably end up doing a symmetrical, a symmetry modifier thing here, but I'm going to go ahead and draw it all the way around. So start right here, hold down Shift after you start it, and you'll see that it does this. Okay, click, keep Shift down, click, 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 and then click about right here, and right click to end it. If you notice, right click to end the tool. If you notice, it's renderable already, which is fine. We just need to up the thickness of it, like our Chrome. And if it's penetrating here, don't worry about that. We'll fix that in a little bit. Need to see about how high it is right here, right there. Okay, so the thickness is right. You notice that these edges aren't very sharp, are sharp right here, but right here they're very rounded. So we'll go into our top view, click on this little plus sign, hit vertex, and control click all of these right here. Don't select the ends right here. Scroll down to fillet, just click it and just drag them in like so. Or you can hit that, either way. Notice that this one didn't do it right. A little bug. I really don't care. I'm going to split it right here and symmetry anyway, so no big deal. So when we go back to look at it, you'll see this doing that. So that's fairly nice. What we'll call this is Chrome bar top. And let's look at the render thickness that we have. Doesn't say because I have it in 1/8 inches. One bad thing about using US standard on this stuff. One day we'll go to metric. Yeah, right. I'm going to scale down the thickness on this one and locate its position almost to the bottom, but not quite. That looks like a good point. Okay, that's good. And now what I want to do is go to my front viewport, and I'm going to draw another line from pretty much right here where that point is down to here. Actually, if you can scroll out to the bottom a little bit, hold down Shift so it goes straight, and then go about right there and right click. So it's done. And we're going to bump this up to about the same that was. Right click to end the tool, bring out our move tool, and I actually want to do it on this side. So let me move it over to here. And I want to get it about right here. Kind of line it up. Alright. So the next thing I'm going to do is come down to here to where it says attach, and I'm going to attach it to this one right here. Alright, so that becomes one thing. Hit F3 so that I can see wireframe. My vertex, I have a vertex here, and I have a vertex here. Alright, so what I want to do is come down to this. I want to connect these vertexes, so hit connect, grab this one, and bring it to this one. Just click it, hold it down, and bring it to this one, and let it go. And it connects it. Of course, you can't see it. So you come down to here to where it says Enable in Viewport, click it again, and you'll see that. Kind of sharp, so what we'll do is we'll bring that back like that. I'm actually going to right-click these and make these corners. Alright, so we'll click this vertex right here, come on to where it says fillet, and we're going to fillet that, just like so. So we hit F3, and there it is. And that's automatically there. We just have to do it for this side. So what I'll do now is I will take this line, right click it, convert to editable poly, like so. Come to my top viewport, scroll out a little bit, and I'll highlight this whole thing. Come down to where it says Edit Geometry, do a slice plane. You see it's right here in the center. I'll rotate it with snaps on, 90 degrees. I'll hit Slice, exit out of that tool, and then select this side right here, and hit Delete. Come over here to where it says the modifier list right here. Hit S a few times, go to Symmetry, and there you go. I think we hit, I don't think we have to hit Flip. If it does it like this, I think I'm on the right axis. Hit Mirror, and get your Move tool out, and yeah, just bring it over like so. And you can see at the bottom where it attaches, just bring it in somewhat to where it starts to hit. So, come out like so, and there it is. Right click and collapse to. Now it's one piece. Not bad. Let's select this geometry right here. We'll open it, select it, and click some of these polys right here, and bring them in like so. Not too much. Kind of gives it the look that these are actually, you know, the bars are actually pushing in the leather. Open this group, select this. Bring that in some. Really not going to be looking at that too much. And if you want to, we can select these and start pulling these out a little bit. Actually not that one, but stuff like this, to make it look as though this leather has been bulging over the years by the massive weight of the people sitting in the chair. Something like that. Now all we need is the little back legs, and I'm going to do this real quick. Select this, hit F4, hit your edges, hit ring, and hit connect. Alright, and that creates this edge right here. Just bring it down to the bottom like so, like that. Hit this edge, hit ring, control click the polygon, come to extrude, extrude local normal, and bring it in like so. Like that. With those polygons still selected, come down to IDs and hit 1. Or, well, yeah, it was already on 1, so that's cool. Alright. And there we go. There's that. What I wanted to do is select these again, hit connect, and that's where I want it to be. So from this little edge down, I select all of these polygons, and then I'm going to shift drag back, clone to object. Do you want to clone to object or clone to group or element? Let's just say object. That way we're dealing with a separate piece. We'll come back over here, select that. It's its own entity now. Grab these top vertices and just bring them up. And we'll pull this in. Remember what I said, this won't be seen. So there we go. There's that. The back won't be seen. Adjust it to your liking. Make it look as good as you want to. As far as I'm concerned, this chair is now pretty much done. You see I need to do it over on this side also. Let's click this again. Edge. Should have just done this the first time. No biggie. I'm going to connect it twice because I did two edges. I'm going to bring the one down here. Actually, I don't need to do it twice. Just hit connect once. Bring it down here. Like so. Hit ring. Do that. Extrude. Remembers your last setting. And there we go. This chair's done. Group. We'll ungroup it all with it still selected. We will, I don't know what we're going to do. Let me hit some of these things. I wanted to group all of them, but I can never get these. I'm no good with groups. I'm just going to delete these little happy little pink things here. I could attach all this if I wanted to, but I'm just going to group it and call it chair. And there, that one's done. So the chair is done. What we'll do is right quick, I'll show you how to make it a couch. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll come in here, we'll open it, don't ungroup it, just open it. Select this right here, and let's go to our top view. Actually, don't do that. Before we do anything, shift drag another copy out and call this couch. Alright, cool. Now we'll open this group, select this, come up here, and pull it out to here. Alright, not too bad. What I want to do is basically do the same thing 3 times. So I'm going to shift drag these 3 out. Just do it once so that I can see exactly where they're located. And you see I didn't bring everything with me because I didn't group it right. I do this a few times. Get this right here, these 2 things, and group those. And just drag it out like so. Hit this group, and this group. Shift drag. I'm trying to see if I shift drag this out. Yeah. You want to make sure that the seams come along with it. So if you have to do additional grouping, do that. That's what I get for being in a hurry. If I shift drag this, yeah, seam will come. If I shift drag this, will the seam come? No. Cancel that. Alrighty. Select that, select that, select that. You see the seam still didn't come with this. My God, I'm starting to get annoyed. When you model, don't get in a hurry, because this is what happens. If your seams don't come along for the ride, just regroup some things and do that. So even me, been doing this for a little bit, still can mess up just by getting in a hurry. Just looking at the time, trying to end this tutorial before it gets out of hand. And bring this in like so. Take this, and all I have to do is just select the vertices along this line right here. I'm going to bring it so that red part right here is centered. And I'm going to bring this back over to right there. Look at this and make sure that it's on. If it's not, just bring it in slightly like so. This right here, this chrome base, I can go ahead and convert it to an editable poly. And if you want to, you can scale it, or you can just start pulling these vertices out. It doesn't really matter. And you have a million on this side and on this side. If you want to straighten it out, feel free to. Like that, and it leaves us with one thing, this little part right here. Grab the vertices of this part and just bring it over to. Did I do that right? No, I didn't. Where am I? Yeah, okay, that's right. All right, so just like this, open it and get these polys and start moving them back out of the way. Depending on what the camera's looking at, decides how much you should actually worry about detail. If the camera doesn't see it, don't do it. But if the camera does see it, then obviously do it. And there's the couch. You see, it took a second to do because I was an idiot and didn't take care of all the steps I needed to ahead of time. If you know simpler ways to do things, you know, feel free and do them. Because, you know, the way that I do things are what I'm used to and how I taught myself. If you've found easier steps to do things, then do that. What I'm doing now is just going in and deleting the group dummies. And I'm going to select it all and hit group and do couch. And there we go. I'm going to unhide all. And what I'll do is I'll take the chair and I'll move it. As you can see, it's not exactly up. So what I'll do is bring it there. And I'll turn it around. Angle snap 90 degrees. And I'll go ahead and position it over here against this wall. Like so. And then the couch is already where it's supposed to be. I'll just bring it up and move it against the wall over here. Not touching, but you know, semi, and we don't want it totally against this corner wall right here, so we'll bring it over like so. And so far so good. Everything looks pretty proportional. Ceiling's way up here. Everything's looking not too shabby. So that's going to end this tutorial. We took care of the hard part, which was the couches. Everything else is pretty simple. So stick around for part 4, where we'll do the coffee tables and take care of all the little accents. So I'll see you then.